I was friends with this Swedish guy for a number of years, and one day he ended up telling me something quite disturbing. He informed me as a funny anecdote. He was telling me this as a funny anecdote. He was sitting there smoking weed with a bunch of friends, and all of a sudden, while they're really high, he informs them that he jacked off to a picture of his own mom in a bikini taken while she was younger. So so he drops this bomb on his friends when they're all smoking pot. And may I inform you, this is not just any bomb. This is a pretty big bomb. I mean, this is nuclear level devastation. This is like Palestine level of obliteration, it's just completely destroyed. He drops this huge bomb as they're smoking weed, and naturally it fucks with their heads and the mood gets really weird. Nobody really thought it was funny, as the Swedish man thought it was. And then they just went on to talk about something else. It was just like, that's kind of gross. Let's change the topic. But Swedish man, and I'm gonna call him Swedish man because I don't want to give him a name. I'm gonna explain why this is very typical and illustrative of something greater, far greater pattern in Swedish culture. Swedish man tells me this story and thinks that it's funny. Thinks that he's just being edgy. And as a very experienced veteran edgelord myself, I found that sentiment offensive because people like that are the reason why I can't be edgy. Because if I say something racist, people think that I'm racist. If I say something sexist, people think that I'm sexist. They don't understand that I'm just trying to be funny, obnoxious, kind of taking the piss, joking around. Because there's too many people who use edginess as a shield to hide behind their real opinions and actual sentiments, and they kind of ruin the whole thing for everyone else. So, on a personal level, sort of as like I was as the craft, I was offended, but I mostly found it disgusting. Didn't know what to say, and kind of just thought to myself that it explained a lot. It explained a lot. I don't know if you're aware of this, but the most popular Pornhub categories in Sweden are stepmother and stepsister. So, mommy issues and incest. That defines the shadow of the collective Swedish psyche pretty well. You have a people who are so far up their own ass in self-importance and narcissism, they sincerely believe, yes, I know I didn't pronounce that correctly. I don't have to, I'm a foreigner. They sincerely believe that their ethnicity is above everyone else's. So much that they sort of figure they might as well fuck their family. I mean, this isn't the only anecdote I have. A friend of that friend said that his sister was kind of hot. Like his own sister. So, Swedish man number 1 admits to jacking off to a picture of his mom. Swedish man number 2 admits that he looks at his sister's ass sometimes and he's like, well, she's pretty fine. And then follows that up with, but I wouldn't do anything. I mean, I've seen his sister, but that's beside the point. The point is, you people have a really creepy shadow. Don't you think? Like, come on. You don't get to tell me that those Pornhub categories there aren't pretty heavily metaphorical. It's really grandiose, right? You subconsciously believe your ethnicity is above everyone else's, and you think Swedishness is so superior that it sort of makes sense to you to bang your own family on a subconscious level. And that's sort of the most redneck thing ever. Then again, I don't really know how to explain Swedish culture other than a bunch of rednecks that ended up getting wealthy because they worked with the Nazis and then covered it up and pretended that they never worked with the Nazis, that they were neutral during World War II. I mean, that's pretty much how Swedish people make their money, selling arms. to many countries while pretending to be peaceful, and then leveling up their game of marketing so that no one really notices. That's almost impressive, if you're into sales and marketing, but let's not run too far from the topic here. The point of it is that this is really gross, and it sort of like this Swedish man I used to be friends with sort of always felt like a prototype for the Swedish consciousness. It's like you know someone, you observe their patterns, you look at them and how they navigate life, and at the same time it syncs up really well with stuff that political parties are saying, stuff that fuck you, Woody Woodpecker. Holy shit, that's an eagle. Oh, it's big. I kind of want to go look at it, but I need to talk about Swedish incest, so I will just have to wait for later. Anyway, you have this Swedish guy in your life. He's extremely Swedish, very typically Swedish in every way. And his personal living patterns, the stuff he says, how he thinks, just ends up syncing up really well with stuff that political parties are saying, stuff that analysts of society are saying, the trends in society, the challenges of men, yada, yada, yada. And so what you have here is a very typical Swedish guy because he was extremely emotionally immature, rigid like a robot, and always ranting about feminism because for some reason he fucked a lot of feminists. Those are the only women that are out there, he said. Not aware that his personal programming, law of attraction, his shadow, attracted women that are similar to his mom. So he basically spent his whole life fucking his mom, and then he ended up actually getting together with a woman who is several years older than him, and it was pretty obvious who wore the pants in that relationship. It wasn't him. He's the embodiment of weakness and cowardice. Always, doesn't really have any opinions of his own. Just sort of hooks up with someone. If she's a vegan, he's a vegan. That sort of thing. So that happened here too. Yeah, and she had a tendency to call him gay fuck. Bögjävel in Swedish. Faggot. She would regularly call him a faggot, and he thought that it made him masculine to not care and laugh it off because he's a tough guy who doesn't get affected by anything. I don't really know what to do with this level of delusion. It's like, yeah, well, how do you even explain that? I've come across many guys who have really weird ideas of masculinity. And they rant about feminism largely because they spend their lives being neutered by women that they inexplicably stick their dicks in, and then they act like they're oppressed. But really what you have is a boy with mommy issues, because, I'm not saying every Swedish man is like this, but there's definitely a tendency towards man-childness. The spoiled upbringing creates a generation of man-children who sooner or later fuck their own moms because they basically never have to grow up. They know they're gonna eventually hitch up with some butch Swedish woman who is more masculine than the man. Because the thing about Swedish women is that they don't look masculine. I mean, sometimes they're 6 feet tall, so they tend to dress like very unflattering. Let me rephrase that. They look pretty and delicate, and they might act like it, but when you actually observe the chemistry, when you actually see how the men and the women interact, sort of understand that she's not really feminine. She's a pretty bulldozer, bull dyke, strong, empowered, power pussy who keeps the man on a leash. That's Swedish relationships for you. And the men end up banging a lot of Thai hookers. Some of them go to Thailand and get a wife. And also, they like to rant about feminism a lot because it's apparently very prevalent in their personal lives. Because they kind of want to bang their mom. There's so many Swedish guys that have creepy relationships to their moms. It's like they're best friends, and at the same time the son is like helping the mother, becomes her emotional wall of support. It's like because divorce is so common in this culture, because people don't like human connection. They don't believe in the family unit. There's no traditional values and hasn't been since well before the 50s, so don't blame this on technology. Swedish women and Swedish men, Swedish people replaced the family unit with the government many, many decades ago, and this was a cultural decision. This was not a political thing. If you speak with left wing, right wing, chicken wing, it's all the same. They all think that relationships, social relationships, are some sort of oppression, and the ugliest thing you can do is be dependent on someone else. So they end up having these really weird relationships instead. And it produces a lot of strange psychological phenomena. So what a bunch of motherfuckers. Really. And where was I going with this? There was a point to this video when I started recording. I just find it creepy, honestly. I don't even know what to say. It's something I've noticed. The man-boy epidemic. Spoiled children become weak men who end up marrying women that keep them infantile. So it's like just the whole country is like a big dysfunctional family where people want to bang their siblings. It's weird. I even have, oh my god, I remember. Ugh. I have more anecdotes. Do you even want to hear them at this point? They're a bit different. Like, I knew a girl, a Swedish woman who, well, she literally banged her brother. Blamed it on the fact that she's sociopathic and wanted to, like, violate morality, like some edgy black metal thing, I guess. But it's really just sort of creepy. And then I met another girl who, she didn't do any stuff like that, but she dated a guy who literally banged his sister and his aunt and some other family thing I can't remember. And it took place in like in a village. And the creepy thing is, Sweden is made up of villages. There's like a few major cities, but most cities are really quite small. And so inevitably, these sort of things end up happening sort of everywhere and kind of rub off and reflect the culture. And it just made me think about how there's a really dark underbelly of an explanation to why the most popular Pornhub categories in this country are stepmother and stepsister. It's because actual incest porn has been made illegal, so they have to put step in front of it because, yeah, that's some weird law they came up with in the porn industry a couple of years back. So you're not allowed to make incest porn anymore, because if you were, it would become too popular in this country, and every Swedish person would steal all of the incest porn, and there would be no incest porn for the freaks in the rest of the world. And boo hoo, I guess. Yeah, I'm being sarcastic. So anyway, uh, mommy issues and feminism outrage seems to go hand in hand. Personally, I don't give a shit about feminism. Feminism just means penis envy. It's just a bunch of women that want to be dudes, and it's just sort of boring. I'm not personally offended by it. I don't have to stick my dick in those women, so I sort of don't care. I've ranted about it on the internet just to get some clicks and some cash, but I'm not actually that invested. But when I speak to guys that are really invested, sooner or later you always discover some sort of creepy relationships that they got going on. And I guess the moral of this story is, well, see, I don't have mommy issues. I have issues, period. I have people issues, father and mother issues. I'm such a huge racist. I hate every race. I'm such a huge sexist. I think men and women are both morons. I would be racist towards aliens if they existed. I just have issues, period. But at least I don't want to fuck my mom. You know, at least I'm not Swedish enough to want to fuck my mom. So I'm really grateful for that.